It is finally Friday, August 9th, and welcome to an all new episode of Style by Stevie. Our very special guest today is an award winning actor, and this is his first debut ever here in the Dollhouse. He is super talented, and you might remember him from hit shows such as Finding Me, the series. Now, I've interviewed some of the cast from Finding Me, and he's here joining me today. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome to our handsome, sexy, amazing, talented, special guest, Christian Barber.
All
Hello.
right. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, hi. How are you?
Excellent. How you doing? Say that one more
I
time.
said, I am doing wonderful, handsome. How are you?
I'm excellent, man. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
It is such a pleasure to have you. So, happy Friday. Before we kick off our interview, how has 2024 been for you so far?
2024 has been interesting. It's been I got some things in development right now that I think are gonna definitely. I can't wait to share with everybody. It's been a great year. I mean, my kids are getting older. I have three beautiful children, so watching them start to really blossom into people has been amazing. I, I'm just looking forward to the rest of the year.
Yes, 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 yes. So much has happened. 2024, I must say, has been the year of reawakening for a lot of people, like a
Absolutely.
rebirthing process with everything that we've been through from, I want to say, 2020 to 2021, all the way up until 2023. 2024 has been a year for more so awakening for everybody, a new start for everybody. So definitely agree.
No, 100%. I think that sums up what 2024 has meant for me. I mean, like you said, the pandemic kind of made us all prioritize what we want our lives to be. And for myself, this was a real reset. I had a battle with cancer during the pandemic, so that really kind of forced me to value time with my family and the growth of us as a unit, and building great people that accept the world and are ready to move forward. You know what I mean? I think it's time for us to build the world we want. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people out here that want to keep things in the status quo. I think we got to make the world the place we want it to be, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've seen you, I've been touching on, I'm pretty sure you've been seeing me. I've really been at it, having my heels in the paint, making sure, being
100%.
vocal about
You
these things. And
put in
one
the
of my
work.
guests that I just recently had on, hi, Kenneth. Kenneth Grasam, who I just recently had a conversation. He said, "Oh, Miss Stevie, you're going political." I said, yes. You guys know me for fashion, but with everything that's going on in this climate, I couldn't help but not to talk about it because it's going to affect all of us. This new agenda that is coming. It can be harmful and dangerous to all of us as people of color, as black people. So why not talk about it as a black woman? With having this platform, I needed to talk about it.
I
I couldn't
mean,
not
a
just
hundred
keep quiet
percent.
about it. Yeah.
You can't be silent in the face of what is it like the Martin Luther King quote?
Yeah.
Silence in the face of injustice is injustice in itself. You know what I'm saying? So like to sit and not speak on issues that are affecting everybody, and I think it's a lot of our world right now is based in fear. It's in fear of what people don't understand, of what people don't want, of the fear of others, fear of difference. And I think we got to speak out and make our voices heard because you can't find out what somebody else is feeling and thinking of doing if you don't listen to them and you don't hear their voice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when I talked to Kenneth, I don't know if he's still here. When I talked to him, he said, "Miss Stevie, I'm a little nervous. I'm a little worried." I've talked to a couple people about it, and they were saying they were nervous. They were worried. All of us, anxiety for me has been at an all time high this week with everything that is going on. We are in times of uncertainty. So I want to offer an escape to people. So, see, my mom tells me this. She tells me, see and don't see. Make
Mm,
sure you stay aware to what's going on. but make sure that you also prioritize your mental health. And I've seen some on your page, you with you being a dad, you've touched here and there on mental health in certain aspects, and you're big into fitness, and that
Mhm.
takes a play into protecting your mental health and peace and energy. When I did my girl talk with my guest yesterday, Tika G, we as black women, it was a girl talk, so we were talking about, things that black women we've endured throughout the years, and making sure that we protect our peace, and how sacred for all of us as the black collective our mental health is, because racism, we're now seeing it at an all-time high more than ever. I mean, it's been there because I'm in South Carolina, and you're from New York, correct?
Yes, sir.
So we know that it is deeply hidden under the surface. It's just now coming out to the face,
I mean,
and we're
and
seeing it
I've been
right.
living in California for 6 years now, and
Yeah.
it's different, but it's always the same. My grandmother, she was from Charleston, South Carolina, and I used to spend the summers there. We would go to family reunions, and that that's one iteration of racism, right? And I think the myth was always that in New York, in the Northeast, there wasn't racism, which I'm pretty sure we know is not the case. And then here is a different. It's another form of what the system has done. You know how communities are fragmented and everybody's kind of separated, and sometimes there's a lot of tension amongst groups that they have a lot of common ground. So the more that someone like yourself speaks out and brings these issues up, the least they can do is have it talked about. And I think
Absolutely.
that's where it gets dangerous, and that's where if it festers. And a lot of these people that have agendas that want to make this world what they think it was, or make it great, however you want to put it, that's what they want, silence. They want people to be afraid to speak out on things that mean something to them.
I'm so glad you said that, and the reason why I kind of just fluttered my eyelashes over here, because
Mhm.
I have been saying that as well too. So I'm not the only one who sees it, you guys. I said this yesterday, and I said it when I did my interview with Kenneth. I came up with a new terminology for it. It's MAGA, right? Make America white again. This
Mhm.
America does not include people who look like me or Christian or anybody else that is in my audience, because my audience tends to be very diverse. I get a little bit of everybody that comes in. I welcome everybody with love. That's why I call it the dollhouse, because you guys are my fashion dolls. And when I welcome you with love. I don't care what your sexuality, race, religion is. If you welcome me with love, I'm going to welcome you with love. And that's what my mom has always instilled to me. I have four brothers and two sisters.
Okay.
And out of each and every one of us, we have our own personality. But one thing she taught us was to be kind to people, and to give grace to people, and to
Mhm.
have empathy. And that's where I come from on the stance of it. But I'm now seeing how ugly racism is in this
Mhm.
country. Now, I can count on the back of my hands how many times my mom has had run ins or encounters with white people who refuse to rent. I just recently spoke out about it. My brother trying to find a new house,
Mhm.
and the gentleman, that was a white gentleman, refused to rent to my brother. So, all because my mom picked a flower. It's real, and I'm pretty sure with you being in the New York area, it's an actor, I think, that did The Wire. He's done a lot of press in Harlem, New York. He tried to rent an apartment. Wendell Pierce from The
Mhm.
Wire tried to rent
Yeah.
an apartment, and they refused him. So
Mhm.
that's housing discrimination.
100%.
All of these things that they are now, I hate to start to show off political. By God. I mean, it worries me. It worries me. But I hate to start my show off political, but this is the climate that we're in right
Well,
now.
I feel like we talk about this a lot in class,
Yeah.
in acting class, where us as actors, it's our job to understand people from a cellular level and their motivations, their intentions, and their energy and fuel, but also that we're contributing a way for people to get out of the rat race. And so I've always taken that responsibility is I'm very grateful because everything I put out, I want to make sure that I'm comfortable with. My kids will be able to grow feeling really that their father did this, and it extends to the world. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We talk about this often. As an actor, it's one thing to live your life to the fullest and within the art, but I try to do that in all facets and teaching my kids, just like you were talking with your mother, is I want to teach my kids to treat other people with kindness, with grace, with uh, the excellence that they would think they deserve, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not. We are all on this rock that's getting hurled around the galaxy. None of it makes any sense, but we're here. So I think we got to do the best we can on the time to leave it for the next generation, and so on and so forth. And to me, I mean, not even to be political, but to get back on what you said when you're talking about making anything again, we're supposed to be moving forward as a human race. So I don't really understand from a common sense or as as a man, however, whatever generalizations you want to throw. I don't understand from any of those points of view of why we holding on to the past. Because I feel like with my children, I try to teach them we all make mistakes, but we need to learn from them. Move on past. We oh shit, I did that. I need to make sure that I don't ever do that again. Or you learn if you overstep something that you learn like, wow, what have I done and how did this affect people? And we've gotten in this place where that's becoming relevant. And it's wild to me because look, like I mean, we have a generalization of being short with people, and we're not the nicest, but I mean, when you see somebody, that person is sharing space on this planet with you, right? So until they give you a reason to not feel like that space is being shared in goodness, then there should be no problem. And I think we all automatically looking at somebody. This person is that. We be labeling this. We thinking we don't like that. And what are we doing? You know what I mean? Not even from political standpoint, but just from like I said, like a human race. How are we moving this thing forward?
And what's scary is they have already started banning books. They've already started trying to whitewash our
Hmm.
history in schools. You can't do that because we as black people we were here first. We are the inventors, and I had everyone laughing yesterday when I said it. If it wasn't for a black person, you wouldn't have a potato chip, you wouldn't have a peanut, you wouldn't have a hot comb, you wouldn't have a traffic light, you wouldn't have all of these things that we
Air
have
conditioning.
contributed to. Air conditioning as well too.
It's
Here, from
it's hot as hell at California. So everybody in LA, if you watching this right now, you can enjoy being inside because of the work that black men did. Simple as that.
Absolutely. And Nina Simone, she said it best. She said, an artist's duty, as far as she is concerned, is to reflect the times. So, with both of us being artists, and you being an actor, and me being this talk show hostess, or fashion influencer, it is up to me to use my platform to encourage people to go out here and fight for our history because they have whitewashed it. We just not too long ago celebrated Juneteenth, and it is a national holiday. That's our history. That is independence for us, for black people. I don't celebrate 4th of July. I used to, but now that I understand the deeper meaning and context as to why people don't celebrate 4th of July, because I would always go out there, I'd be ready, let's go shoot some firecrackers, let's go outside and go see the fireworks show, which I have no problem with, but I don't celebrate the 4th. I
Right.
now celebrate Juneteenth, and I understand the deeper meaning as to black people being free
Mm.
and what it means to be free. And another thing Nina Simone said, what does freedom mean to you? No fear. No
Mm-hmm.
fear.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not. And if me speaking out or being a little bit of a rebel or outspoken, because I'm a Scorpio, we know Scorpios are off the walls, just outrageous and crazy and adventurous. But me, I do it to an extent. Like I said, growing up with four brothers, two sisters, I've always been the most outspoken and inquisitive out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've given my mom a little few problems here or there. I wasn't a bad child in school, but then that's another thing, education. They want to eliminate the Board of Education.
Hmm.
and this monstrosity that is 922 pages. So you can't erase that. You can't erase our history, our lineage. And when we were being taught in school on Black history, who did we learn about? The historical figures, as you mentioned, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, Madam C.J. Walker, and then come to find out, a black man invented hair relaxer. The whole
Hmm.
entire time I was thinking it was Madam C.J. Walker, the first black woman self-made millionaire. But if it wasn't for the both of them, we would not have a Cream of Nature, a Revlon. We would not have, for my fellas, your spinning waves.
Hmm.
All of these
Hmm.
products that are
Hmm.
on the market for ethnic hair, it wouldn't be for Garrett Morris and Madam C.J. Walker. Those two were the first. So you can't erase our history, our lineage. As Christian said, air conditioning, the traffic light, all of these things that black people have patent pended, the lawnmower, all of these things that we have contributed to, they now want to whitewash history. And that's where it becomes a problem. And then you totally just downplay it as though, oh no, it doesn't exist. Yes, racism is alive and it is still existing. And we're seeing this as we have a black woman who is of Jamaican and Asian descent, but she is a black woman, period. She's facing what I like to say misogynoir, and she's
Hmm.
facing racism. Misogynoir, for those of you who do not know what it is spelled differently than misogyny, but it is sexism towards black women. And we've seen it with Serena Williams, we've seen it with Simone Biles, Brittany Griner, Meg Thee Stallion. I could go on of a list of women. I myself have encountered it because I want to say, curvaceous,
Hmm.
and I'm 5'7". So when
Right.
I walk into the room, people are just, they're not sure. But I'm like, yes, I present myself as woman. I walk in as woman.
Hmm.
So misogynoir is sexism and racism to black women. And this is what Kamala Harris is experiencing, where people are questioning, is she black? Is she black? She's a black
Hmm.
woman. She's black, period.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's wild to me that people will make statements in the midst of a conversation, and then the conversation continues, and it doesn't stop right there. You know what I mean? And I feel like we haven't. Let me see. I see a lot of. I often see an article, and I'm just like, I don't nothing past that. That line right there. When you saying somebody who's running to be the leader of the country, that it's a black job. I mean, it's like I say, it. I could go on and on
Well,
because
But
I
we
was
got our black
fortunate.
jobs. Christian
Yeah,
is an
honest.
actor. I'm a talk show host, so we got our black
Yeah.
jobs. When
Listen,
did you
100%. When
realize,
you turn on the TV,
Christian?
mm,
When did you realize that you was black? I realized that I was black October 31st, 1993. That's when I realized that I was black. When did you realize that you were black? Because that's another thing that he said. She just turned black.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I was raised by strong black women, and my grandmother was she was part of the first battalion of African American nurses in the army. So she was used to being the first black woman into several rooms. She was a teacher, and she was that was just the norm for her. So for me, I think there was always a knowledge that I was from a lineage that was different than a lot of people out. And then I had to, I was, I think to put it like this, that I was striving to do something that people didn't think I could do. I think that was a part of me in an early age was that what you do and what you accomplish is in opposition to what a lot of people would think because of the way that you look. And I think that was something that I don't remember a time when I wasn't cognizant of that fact that I had that there was people who not even that I don't know that at an early age I thought that they were rooting against me, but I think early on I always knew that there was people that didn't look like me that would be very, very quick to let me know if I misstepped. Which
Uh, and
which is crazy. I mean, it's crazy in the world. The one thing I think that a lot of us is we've learned the gift of being black in America is that you know how hard you got to work. and you kind of your life formulates that path. And I am fortunate from that now. I work in a business that is very difficult and has very little rhyme or reason, and it's definitely not for the faint of heart. But I think having had that fact that there is always somebody that will be rooting against you has allowed me to have a thicker skin, if you will.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one more point to that, it's just like within our community, it's just like, are they black? Is this person black enough? You know who else has experienced that? Tisha Campbell. Tisha
I
Campbell
mean,
hit
listen,
her.
I'm a light-skinned black man, and when I was young, I had reddish hair. And people always like, anybody, what are you? Where you from? You're not black enough. And then listen, my kids are biracial, and they face it on a daily basis. And I want to
Oh,
make sure to let them
so
know that
sorry.
you come from Kings. Like regardless of what people think you are, that we got to remember, like not that long ago, there was the one drop rule. So if you had any inkling that you had any black in you, that's what you were.
Tika said that yesterday. She said the same exact thing that you were saying. You're black. And that's when we were talking about Kamala, she said this is crazy. They are questioning a black woman's blackness. She's black. They did it to our previous first black president, Obama. They did it to him. So
Hmm.
it's just like, what is too light enough? Is too dark? Are you black? Are you black? I know I'm a black woman. It's clearly obvious from my features because black people, we have certain features that are very, very strong. I have very big lips. I have a big nose, and I have high cheekbones. These are features that European women, or white women, shall I say, are going to get these same exact features. Again, it just goes to show you that black people, we are the blueprint from everything from television to technology to space. We are the blueprint, and we have been here for years, decades. We're not going anywhere no time soon, so you can't erase us.
No, we're not going nowhere. I mean, and where would this world be without the contribution of black people across the globe? I mean, you're talking from the original man to the pyramids to modern history. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody's tuning in to see the magnificence of Simone Biles, of Sidney McLaughlin,
uh,
of Team USA, of Noah Lyles. I mean, I can go on and on all day long, but we represent this country just as much as anybody else. And our contributions will never be denied because I don't think you can't have in America without having brought Africans to America. There is no America. It's not going to happen. And we got to move forward. Like, I feel like we also, as a people, we got to stop doing what they taught us to do
which is
of
to
disqualifying
separate
them.
and
Yeah,
divide
of
and
separating and
conquer.
divide. Then as soon as you hear somebody that says, "Oh, they don't like this type of person," you jumping on these people, they don't like you either. You know what I mean? It's wild to me because people have a problem with one thing and they will jump onto this bandwagon. They don't want you there. The bandwagon was created for people just like to keep people just like you in their place. And here you are dancing to the step. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of Sam Bowen, and it's crazy to me because, like I said before, I think it is based in fear, and
I
and instead, yeah, we got to be based in love, and love is not. I think, especially as men, too many of us have this misunderstanding of love. Love is acceptance of this world as a whole. We in here together of collaboration. It ain't it ain't got to be hugs and smiles, but we got to work together. We got to get along with each other and
yes.
learn the differences and what the differences make us make us great. Like that's the one. That's why I love to be an actor. Like that's what I love about acting is to find that those different people within you, if you will. It sounds wild, but it's just the experience, the lens of what this person was writing. You know what I mean? Like, okay, boom, we experience that through line of somebody else, and I think through that you learn a certain compassion for people that even people I don't agree with, it's sometimes sad because it's like you don't have no idea how silly you sound.
And what's so sad, Christian, is that you have your own kind that are going to the other side, and I'm just like,
That's
you
what I'm
do
talking about.
know, you do know that the same oppression that other people, just because you're in a higher tier, you're going to experience the same oppression as well too. So it doesn't matter what you try to do to get in their good graces, they will never welcome you and your melanin or your
Uh-huh.
kind. Let's
100%.
keep
The
it
cages
real.
that you helping them build, when they failed, when they got them in there, they go put you into it. So it's it's fear. It's fear to me, and it's fear, and it's silly. If you ask me, I think it's silly. Well, I like that
Absolutely.
name, Nubian Treasure Handcrafted.
And she's a black owned business, black woman. Shout outs to her. Hi, Nubian, TGIF girl. So let's shift gears here because I did not want to start the show politically. I'm like, okay, which way does he want to go with it? I was
I
scared. I didn't want to do it because some of my guests are just like, don't dive into politics. So I
ain't scared of
tried not to dive into it. I tried because I could really get radical, and that was just a little taste of it. But yes, I had to restrain myself. So I'm like, okay, which angle does he want to go with this? So I had to start off that way.
Okay.
But let's shift into the acting aspects. But before that, the job of the people, the job of actors is to tell the story of people. The job of the journalists is to tell the story of people. So there are black people out there who look like us, who are saying, "Hey, I want to feel included as well too." And that's why I came up with the term MAWA. MAGA, yeah, make America great again. When has it ever been great?
Hmm.
But MAWA, it's now MAWA.
Hmm.
Because with this Project 2025 agenda, we've seen Taraji P. Henson do a brilliant job of breaking down how dangerous this thing is and how it can be harmful to us, especially if you have black sons, you're raising black boys. If you're raising young black women, it is going to be difficult because they want to erase black history out of schools. That's where it became a problem for me because I'm an avid reader. I'm always in a book, not just always flipping through Hoppers or Vogue, but
Right.
I keep my nose in a book. I like to keep educated. And when I come on, I share that knowledge that I've learned from that book with you guys. And I recommend books to you. Keith Boykin, who I interviewed, who was a part of the Obama administration, he worked alongside President Obama, wrote a book called Why Does Everything Have to Be About Race? And when I tell you, Christian, he breaks down the timeline from the Stono Rebellion down here in South Carolina to everything,
Mm.
to the Orange Man's or the Mango Mussolini's presidency. He broke it down.
Good one.
So you guys need to go and check that out.
Let's check it out.
We really need to. Yeah, it's called Why Does Everything Have to Be About Race? And I interviewed him. That interview I pinned it on my profile here so that you guys could go back and check it out. He shared some knowledge. And we touched firsthand on Project 2025 and what they're planning to do. They've already started it in Florida, banning books. You don't want drag queens to read books, but it's okay for Kyle Rittenhouse to walk around here talking about he's not voting in this election and stuff.
Okay. Wow.
That is a problem. I see. I told you I could go there,
Mm.
but I didn't. Why is drag queens reading books a problem? Why is children reading books on their hair texture or their identity? That's another thing. Certain
Absolutely.
states want to reverse the Crown Act. And Christian, I know for you as a black man and as an actor, we know that when you go on set, and I've interviewed actresses as well too, they said they don't have the proper hair people
Mm-mm.
to work on African American hair. They don't understand our hair. And the first experience that I heard that from was Victoria Rao. And we remember her from, we know her as Drusilla Winters on
Mm.
The Young and the
Mm.
Restless. She
Mm.
said when it would pertain to the black actors, because Shamar Moore was also on the show,
I was
she
on
had to get
that for a while as well.
somebody,
Yeah.
yeah, had to get someone to basically do she said, could I bring someone in to do a demonstration? And The white actors were just blown away at how amazing her hair looked.
Mhm.
And she just like, can I bring someone on set to do a demonstration? They didn't want to do that. There's like, no, that won't be necessary because you're not willing to learn about black hair and what it takes to style black hair.
Mhm.
And even working in the fashion world, with my background of working in the fashion industry and being in the beauty industry, we see it all the time. We're not having the correct foundation shade or makeup shade for male or female, whoever. You got to have the right people to work on ethnic skin
Mhm.
and ethnic hair texture on set because our hair textures are not the same. You're going to have someone
100%.
who's going to have 3C hair. You're going to have someone who's going to have 4C hair. You're going to have someone who is going to have 4A hair. So
Mhm.
our hair, black people, we're not a monolith. We're not all the same. We all look different. We all
Mhm.
have different walks of life. So when Victoria Rao basically had to fight to get somebody on set so that they could just style her hair, she did it not just for herself, she did it for the other black actors that were on The Young and the Restless
Mhm.
too. So she broke it down on how difficult it was. Not just her, but Gabrielle Union was another one as
Mhm.
well too, who spoke out about it and not having the proper hair team on set to style natural hair or as they would say when we go into, let's say, a beauty aisle in Walmart or
Ethnic.
Sally's Beauty Supply. What do they call it?
Ethnic.
Multi-ethnic.
Yeah.
And there's every kind of curl pudding, gel, sheen, all of these things that black people we use in our hair is in that one aisle.
Mhm.
And then they have their aisle. The other side, they have their aisle.
Mhm.
So for us, it's difficult. And especially I see it on the segments on the news too when they're getting
Mhm.
models ready for advertising a hair product or a hairstyle. It's just like the hair is half done or partially done. And
I,
it's just like,
I have definitely had more than one experience of guesting on a show, being in the makeup chair, looking up and being like, what the hell's going on right now? It has gotten better. I mean, I've been fortunate to have been working for the last 10 years, 10, about 10, 12 years, and it has gotten better. But, we still, just like everything, we still got a long way to go. And for it to be expected and not the exception. Because I could tell you, I could definitely think of 4 or 5 productions where it stood out where like, okay, yo, you guys really got the right shades. You know how to deal with blacks. Not just that, it until recently was so neglected of how to light brown skin tones. I mean that it took a long time for the industry to even realize that it's not the same. That you gotta put in the work and you gotta figure out how to make it work because you've seen some of these films in the last 5 years that you make us with we seeing us in the proper light the way we should look. So I think that's gotta be normalized. Like it should not there should be no reason in this age 2024 for a film to have a black actor and then not to look immaculate. No reason. No reason.
I'm so glad that you touched on that because I was watching. You guys remember Living Single, right?
Hmm.
Kim Coles and Kim Fields did a live for Kim Fields' birthday, and Kim Coles said the lighting production for Living Single on Fox knew how to light. There was a problem with lighting for the brown girl. I'm a brown girl, so we know that when it pertains to brown skin or yeah, brown skin, it's difficult to find lighting for us. So Erica Alexander, and then you had Kyle,
Hmm.
Kyle's character. I cannot remember his T.C. Carson.
Hmm.
Yes, that
Hmm.
for their skin tones, the production made sure that they had special lighting just for them because everybody was a different shade of brown. I mean, it was beautiful melanin, but everybody's shade of brown was different. So
Hmm.
when it comes to lighting, I'm glad that you touched on that because that is also a thing in the not just in the acting side, but in the fashion world as well too. And
Hmm.
some of these big fashion houses like Gucci, very anti-black, and I have my views on that. And Burberry and all of them, and how they put black models in these ads, and they'll have them, and they look ghostly, shall I say,
Hmm. Hmm.
ghostly. So coming on every day, I have to make sure that it's my business to look decent in every single interview. And with me being a woman in this industry and in this business, an eyelash, a tooth can't even be out of place. if I came on today, Christian would point it out. One of my male viewers would point it out. Oh, her eyelashes hanging out. Y'all would call it out too. So I have to make sure that everything is perfect
Hmm.
with being in the beauty industry and being in the fashion industry. And not just that, but being brown skinned as well too. So I'm already experiencing colorism, and we know
Hmm.
that that's a thing, as it ties to racism as well too,
Hmm.
because it is anti-black by separating someone by their skin tone. But it is
Hmm.
key and important that we remember how to light brown skin tones in these
We got
shows.
to.
So I'm so
We got.
thankful.
We have to. I mean, we are artists. It's art in itself. We can't forget that. So you gotta make the art what it needs to be. And in order to do that, you have to put in the work that is required. And part of that is understanding how to light different skin tones, how to highlight those skin tones. And then, we doing a progressively better job of telling stories of different walks of life. And I think listen, we just got to put in the work. We're going to get there. Like, I know I myself and several of my colleagues, like, we're going to do the best that we can to illuminate these stories and make sure that we put in that work. Like, I'm looking forward to the next 5 years because I do think we've seen a change in the industry. And I think we see things kind of going through. I don't even know how to describe it right now. It's just different. But I think that on the other end, we're going to be able to put out work that is going to stand up for us as a culture. You know,
Absolutely.
there's a lot of new voices that are going to be coming out, and I think it's going to be a great time in the next 5 to 10 years for Black cinema. I think specifically because I think
And
we got to take realize that our stories need to be told, and we also are starting to learn how to tell full stories about all of us. Like you said, we're not a monolith.
everybody has their own individual personality.
Hmm.
And another thing I notice in this business as well too, and we'll get into your acting career because you've done so much throughout your career. I remember you from Finding Me, the series. You
Yes,
played
yes.
Calvin.
Yes.
That's where I remember you from.
Okay.
And I've had the pleasure of interviewing some of the cast as well as Roger. And Roger is a gem. We'll get to Roger and Finding Me in a sec. But I I get this from black actors all the time. And it was Leslie Jones as well too. She said I always get typecasted as the loudmouth funny best friend. And that happens to a lot of black actors in this business. It's just like, okay, we don't want to play a drug dealer this week. We want to play something else. Show
Mm,
me in a different light. Show me that I have range.
mm,
Taraji P. Henson said this, and I'm quoting some of the greats, all of them, and you too, Christian, because you're one of the greats as well. But Taraji said, if I won't do it if it doesn't scare me. And this was around the time she was doing Empire and she was playing Cookie Lion. She said, if this character doesn't scare me, if it doesn't give me a challenge, I won't do it.
mhm,
So you got to step outside of your comfort zone and play different characters. And I
mhm,
know a lot of black actors, that is an issue. You get typecasted in one specific role. And it's just like, okay, I I want to step outside of my lane. I don't want to be known for just doing comedy. Marlon Wayans did it. So many others have done it. You know, they're known for comedy, and we see them take more serious, more dramatic roles. And it's
mhm.
just like I don't want to be known as just the funny best friend or the sex symbol or everybody has their own title in a film. And
Right.
it's just like I want to break past that typecast. I want to step outside of that and
Hmm.
show people that I have range.
For sure. I think it's a combination. You have to know we all have our niche. You know what I'm saying? We all have our area of expertise or what's in our wheelhouse. But like Taraji says, you have to find what drives you as an artist. And like I said, we talk about this every week in class. If you're not feeling that little bit of butterflies, that nerves, then you need to reevaluate what you're doing. And I'm fortunate because I mean I've spent my entire adult life acting, and I still get excited to audition, because it to me it's the greatest art form that exists. But that's just my personal opinion. You, you gotta find work that pushes you as an artist
Oh
because
yeah.
I think one thing, especially us as a people, a lot of us don't necessarily come from cushions where we can experiment. We can find out how to make this industry, how to make this journey work for us. You know, myself, you kind of got to figure out, okay, this is what I'm doing for a living. How do we make this a reality to do as a living? And then that becomes kind of your first step. And that is a difficult undertaking. Do not ever let any actor out there let you think that it is not difficult to break into the business. That's probably one of the more difficult. That's the most difficult part of your career is to get started. But once you get moving, you have to you got to be this is your career. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, this is my career. This is my legacy. This is my body of work. So ain't nobody else gonna have to have Christian Barber attached to this in the end. This is my work. So anything that I do, I realized this when I was recovering and I was in the pandemic, and I made a decision that any work I do, I want to know that I did to the fullest and would put all of my mind, body, and spirit into that role. And I'd like to think that I get something from each role I play. There's a piece of them that you learn, and I'm talking this is across the board. I mean, you're talking from the most benign father to the most driven killer. It doesn't matter, but there is something that you can get from each and every one of these roles, and you
Mm-hmm.
find pieces of yourself that for me you can then contribute towards the world. You know, I think of us as modern day shamans in the sense of like we are trying to put out the vibes to move this forward. Because you watch movies, you watch TV to do what? To kind of get out of your regular life, get a little entertainment, get a break from what it doesn't matter who you are, there's always gonna be problems. And so I like to take it seriously and I respect the, like Taraji more than anything. Um, she embodies what it is to be an actor. Like she jumps into roles head first. She has completely changed what the industry thinks of as a black starlet. I mean, before I don't think that concept was really thought of. So I mean, to be as brave and as accomplished as her, I think you have to set your mind on that in this business. It's not you can't control what people think of you. Can't control how people take your work, but you can put yourself into these roles and put everything you have. And the first thing about this business, you got to learn how to before you do.
Yes.
You know, I spent a lot of time learning and training and doing before anybody even knew anything I ever did. And I was very fortunate to have people like Roger, projects like Finding Me, while I was getting my footing as an artist, that they really are trying to do something different. I mean, I was only able to work on that show for like a short period of time because I started really my TV career started picking up a little bit and my time wasn't as available. But those shows are what built my foundation as far as being around people who were trying to build these worlds and trying to share stories of people that were neglected and were not as illuminated in the public. And especially for me, as a straight cis male, like being on the outside was great because you got to be part of this world sharing stories, but also that not everybody is a monolith. This, you know what I'm saying? Like it is a world and we live in it. And to be able to have those Finding Me, some series, Six of One that were all black casts that really taught me how beautiful this business can be and like collaborating and building and creating.
And what else I love, you say, with others that are getting their career started. What Roger did with Finding Me, and I gave him, I'm always going to continue to give him his flowers. I gave him his flowers when he was here.
That's definitely.
I said, what you did was unheard of at that time because you had shows like what? The DL
Hmm.
Chronicles. You had shows like Noah's Ark. Noah's Ark would have just been coming on the scene. And what Patrick Ian Polk
Hmm.
did with this show, and then years later, it was P Valley. we see the inclusiveness as it pertains to the black queer community, and more so giving them a voice, giving our community, the queer community, a voice as well too, and letting it be amplified, because you wouldn't really see that out there. It was unheard of. And then years later, it was Pose, Ryan Murphy, but that wasn't a black production. It was Ryan Murphy who did. So what Roger did is, with having a black, his whole staff was black. I mean, everybody who did the hair and makeup on there,
Hmm.
the stylist, he even put them in parts in the filming project. I'm just like, wait, wasn't she doing hair or makeup? Because I went and I watched the behind the scenes of the series as well as the two films, and he put stylists in the film. He put the makeup artist in the film. Misty, who was on the series, who was a stylist, and then Eugene, who
Hmm.
also went to fashion school as well too. They were casted on the series. So Misty was originally a stylist, and then we see her as one of the main characters
Hmm.
on the show. So what Roger did was genius with giving black voices in the New Jersey area a voice. Actors
Oh,
who were just coming up in the
absolutely.
game.
I
Yeah,
remember when I auditioned for that, there was not, it was a very, very novel and new concept to tell stories that were not the mainstream three or four or five concepts that we had seen since the beginning of film. You know, like especially web series. I mean, at that time, because you know, that was when I was starting. I was doing a lot of web series, and they were pretty. It was pretty generic. You know, you either had your web series with the four brothers that were successful, and then their girlfriends, or these three hood dudes, and they little side things, and it was very like plug and play. But then you know, I remember seeing auditions for this, me and Roger, and seeing what he was doing, how he was really making these stories, and how these people that were, let's see, like, I don't want to put this, the people that were marginalized, of how they intersected into the world. Like
yeah,
at the time I was involved with the show was really when it was like the finding me part, where it was that, where it was how did these characters find their way in the world. And it was also amazing to work with some other really talented actors that none of us at that time. And so that's always, especially as a black man, to see other people of color working on something that nobody knows, and then you see now, I see Ray Martel, Roger, everybody, you know, that are out doing things. It's beautiful. I love that. First of all, let me say that. Like I love seeing us succeed. And so
absolutely. Yes,
watching that from there being different and being like, oh, I'm shoot, I don't know how this will work out. Because at the time I didn't know what audience was there. But then you realize like, wow, this is really telling something that people waiting for. Like I like to say, I want to shout out one of my homeboys, Sydney Harcourt. He's doing a Jellicle Ball right now in New York, and he always has stood so strongly for the queer community and stood out ever since Hamilton. And I mean, like seeing that audience now from where Roger came from that time, and this is what 10, 11 years, amazing to me.
yeah,
It's amazing. It's amazing that people are putting that work to share these stories to where it's all over. I love it. And like you said, like P Valley, I remember I was up for a role in that show, and it was I was got a chance to really see how they were doing it, and they were making. And they were like, all right, this has got to be told. We gonna highlight this, and he did. That's you know that's what this art form is about. Because we've all seen cop shows. We've all seen, and we're gonna continue watching. We will continue watching the big blockbusters, and we all love it. But it's when you find that show, you're like, damn, that's your thing. You know what I'm saying? That's what really makes you think, and what you remember those moments.
absolutely. And you mentioned theater. You started theater in
Hmm.
2006 in New York City,
Hmm.
and then you've went on to do a plethora of roles. Your resume is extensive. You've done Criminal Minds. We mentioned Shamar Moore earlier. You've done The Young and the Restless. Again, Shamar Moore
Well, he was a
and
perfect
Victoria
example. I worked
Rao.
with him on SWAT, and he was an example of he just he'd been doing this for a while, and it's inspirational to see someone like Shamar uh, or Victoria, like she is. I remember I met Taraji, this is going back like 10, 12 years ago, and I can't even remember what exactly how she put it, but she told me, she was like, we're gonna have to start telling stories so that people can know who you really are. And this was probably like, this was, I want to say, when they were about to develop Empire. And I mean, sure enough, like she did that. I mean,
And you went,
listen, and there's one thing you can't never doubt us.
and that's true. And she showed you right there on that screen. She brought Cookie to life. And
Hmm.
almost every character that I've seen from you in your reels, you bring your characters to life. Now, Calvin, in Finding Me, he was a little rough around the edges. He was trying to give Omar a job. And he's just like, what's your qualifications? What you got arrested for? What, tell me this, tell me that. What was it like tapping into Calvin? Because, like I said, I wouldn't want to meet Calvin.
I'm
Calvin is rough,
well.
and I'm
That's
such a happy, bubbly person. And if I'm going for a job, I wouldn't want to meet Calvin. So, what was it like
well.
tapping into him?
This is where I look at it like this. The differences between us are far, far smaller than the commonality that we find. It just situations will mold you into a different version of the same person, if you will. And I'm a firm believer in that. And as an actor, I've always made a decision from the first time I ever looked at the script never to judge somebody. And I was very
Yeah,
fortunate. My mentor Ann Bowen was very, may she rest in peace. Like she was
yeah,
big on that. And she always told me, she said, people don't ever think that they're wrong. She said, even the worst person is doing what they think is the most right path. They just doing it in a fucked up way. So I always took that. And so someone like Calvin, it was more about you have to bring the truth. As an actor, you got to bring the truth of the situation. Somebody who wrote down, somebody took the time and the talent to write that script. You got to find the truth, and you have to find. We talk about this in class a lot. What my acting coach always says, it's like fuel. We got octanes of fuel. We all got different octanes. Some of us are fortunate we might have to run on 95, or it's gonna shut down. Others, we that regular, we're gonna get to the end of the line, and you have to find the octane, the fuel of the person. And so, someone like Calvin, his fuel is to survive. Like we all know, like it's hard out there. And so
yeah,
someone like Kyle, but it ain't that complicated. It's just he got to make it. And so by extension of you can't have other people get in the way of you getting till tomorrow. So my job in that show was to really show Omar is like, are you gonna get in the way of my path? Because if so, you got to go. If not, then you gonna jump on this train and we're gonna get forward. As simple as that. And I think you look at a character. Who am I? What do I want? Like, what is my drive in this world? What do I need out of this world? And then what propels me to that? What is the fuel that I use to achieve that main goal?
yeah,
And then you kind of I look at that as the skeleton, right? I think those things are the skeleton. Then you start to think of the nervous system of like what those are the things this person wants and their goals of where have they been? That's your nervous system. Then you got your muscular system of like how has where they've been affected what they want to do. And then you start to have a fully fleshed human being. After then it becomes to be able to breathe and accept the situation and jump into the unknown. Like I think acting is the biggest misnomer about the actual craft of it is doing. I mean, you doing like you just you're not because you can't act nothing out. Like I can act it out. You're gonna see everything I'm doing because I'm thinking intellectually of what do I do. It's not an intellectual process. It's a reliving of this person's experience. And I think that's what gets the audience and why the audience recognizes good and great acting is they're moved by the by that experience that you experience of somebody else.
And not just that, but someone resonates with the character in some sort of way, whether it may be
Hmm.
good or bad. The villain in
Hmm.
the film, we know the villain in the film is the villain, but every villain has a dark story to why they are the way they are. There's
Yeah,
always a backstory.
100%. Nobody ever, nobody ever decided, woke up and said, like, I got children, you know what I mean? And they, they have had friends and I don't necessarily like as much. Nobody ever wakes up and said, I'm gonna be bad. No, no, nobody was born and just said, I'm gonna be evil. Like things go a certain way and certain things aren't explained to you. You're not given a certain amount of love. You're not given a certain amount of direction. And that's carries over to acting if you got to find that. I think it becomes about not about judgment, but about understanding and realizing and thinking of like why, to me is a good example. I'm trying to provoke a specific reaction from him. That's as was written. So I got to make sure that my job as an actor is to justify that reaction in that situation, supporting in that kind of show. Like I want to make sure that I'm gonna push you to that to where you got to get to because I'm gonna achieve my goal in this. I mean, that's how dynamic people in life work. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody they set out a goal, you set out a goal, you got this show, and boom, here we are, right? So I think that's you carry. I carry that over to my acting of even on the smallest thing, somebody's setting out to achieve that goal.
And you did it. You did it very, very well. Because
Appreciate
when Omar walked up and he was trying to get a job, you were just so, how can I say it? You were very. I was like, ooh, he's mean. And I thought you were gonna be mean in the interview, but I'm just like, okay, girl, relax. He's gonna be completely different than his characters. Because sometimes it scares me when reaching out to the guests, because
it.
I'm thinking they're gonna be like their character, and it's like, no, that's not the
Yeah.
case.
Oh,
You
I
got to
play
learn
some
to
hours, so I
separate
got
the
you.
actor from the actor, the actual person. And that happens with a lot of actors on set sometimes. Like you get so caught up in the character, and it was Kiki Palmer.
Hmm.
She said, okay, when she played a character, she brought the character home with her. And it's just like when you're on set all day, from morning to noon to night, you're on set all day. And then when you go home after wrapping the film and everything, you sometimes bring that character with you. So my next question for you is, has that ever happened where you were like, okay, I'm no longer the character, I'm Christian now? Because that's
When I
happened to
was
actors.
when I was younger, before we had kids, I would do that. But I found if I personally found that my work is better when I let it go and leave it on set.
Mm.
Because I think your mind does this thing of you gotta enjoy, no matter how dark or deep the story is, you still gotta have fun
Oh,
with it. And so we always want to see you want to see somebody enjoying themselves, even if it's in agony. Like nobody ever wants to see sadness. Nobody wants to see sad. Nobody wants to see despair. They want to see people get out of that despair in the film, or on a TV show, on stage. So I think that's the big thing. Is like I had to, especially for me as a parent, my oldest child, he's into acting. He's moving along with that. I also want him to know that this is an art form, and I think the best way that you can live this art form is by keeping that the focus. Like I try to make sure that I keep myself, my instrument, my vehicle where it needs to be. I'm keeping in breath, keeping my body right. But I also know that I have to keep my mental. if you're thinking of as an actor, it's your mind, your body, and your spirit, or your three. That's my toolkit. You know what I'm saying? And I use my body as a tool back, right? So I know part of that. I got to keep my mind working to be able to dive into these characters. And I think that when you hold on to stuff, you are limiting your ability to dive into these characters. And I take pride in the fact that I've been fortunate to play a wide breadth of characters, and I can play anything. And I think it's a lot harder if you don't know when to let go. Listen, look. Aside from that, it's always better when you can interact with your co-stars. When you're working on something, it makes it easier to really go there if we cool. Like if we working on something and I can have this conversation, it's going to be a lot easier in 5 minutes after they tell us go ahead and get on set, do your rehearsal. Then I'm gonna be able to really yell and get in your face because I know after that we're gonna be like, you want to get a drink later?
Turn it on, turn it off, and that's
Yeah,
what's most. That's what most
that
actors
is
have
a
to be able
skill
to
as
do.
an actor. I think that's a skill. If anybody watch that and is trying to get, you got to develop that skill because if not, you're gonna run yourself into a wall. And, and
And
and that added compounded with the fact that this is a very stressful business. You you're gonna get a lot of no before you even get a possible. So you got to realize like you have to believe in yourself, believe in your ability to do the job, and put it to work. Part of the work is to let it turn on, turn off, and to develop that skill. That's from my point of view. I can't speak for other actors, but for me, that's a skill that I developed. And I think as I'm getting better at that, is you want to turn it on and you want to turn that faucet on, right? You don't want no drip. You want that, oh, and you want to turn it off because I want to be able to figure out, okay, that didn't work. Let's try do this now. Because that happens. Sometimes what the director thinks, you might do a scene and then you still in there and you if you were in that one of those people, you in character, the director has to tell you, but like, that didn't work. So let's just do this instead. It's gonna be a lot
hmm
harder for you to tune in and hear what the hell they saying if you still in that place. So I think
and
that's big.
absolutely. And when I think about it, I think about Heath Ledger and how he got so deep into the character of the Joker. So that was my concern. And then Lupita, she when she did the film Us, she said
Hmm.
she literally had to detox this character out of her system. It was
Hmm.
so like she went there. And like you said, what I love is that the directors and producers give you a chance to have full on range with creativity, is just be as
Yeah.
creative as you want to. And that's the fun part about it, but making sure that you turn the character off. And then when it's time to turn it on when you're on set, turn it on.
And it's Heath Ledger's a very good example.
Yeah.
Sometimes I had to realize this as well. Sometimes as an actor, you may it will feel good to fix something that happened in the past in your work, but that you doing that for you, and it might look great, but it's not. I don't. I personally don't think that's a healthy thing. I went through a period for myself. The one time that I've had trouble with this industry is when I felt like I was doing the work for me to feel better for myself. And I think that's like you're putting the cart before the horse, right? When I started thinking of I'm doing the work because I love it, and that love feeds me, then the work started coming back in focus, and the thing became the thing again. Instead of you going home and living in this moment that felt good, which I'm assuming didn't feel good in the sense that we think, but felt you got something out of it and you stuck in it, but then you can't get out of it. Then now you're in that place, and there's a reason why people go in that place in a dark way. And I think you've got to know, like, especially for him, and that's the saddest part. Like, he's one of my. I can't think of anybody as an actor that I can respect more than him because he was so willing. But the saddest part is like he wasn't. Nobody told him, but you got to be willing to also be there for your kids. And because part of that is like, I think the biggest thing is, it may sound simple, but from my point of view, he robbed his children of seeing more of his work. Like he got a daughter now that is going to see it. Yeah, wow, he was brilliant until he was no longer here. And the one thing about we are fortunate, we work in business, we're like, ain't no time on this. I'm gonna do this until I can't, until my mind ain't remembering lines. And that's the very few things that you can do. There are very few professions. So like he robbed himself the ability of us watching Heath Ledger at 50 and 60. You know, you see someone like Denzel, like that's the amazing part we see in Denzel now. Like I remember watching Fallen and seeing these, glory, like that glory, that was something that moved me as a kid. Like I could I could do that. And now you seeing him like he's still in it and it's beautiful. And so someone like that, that's what I take out of not being able to let people go with someone like Heath Ledger is he brought himself to that opportunity to be around, make more work.
And you've mentioned Denzel. That brings me to the next part of our conversation, legacy,
Yeah.
because you are a dad. What
Mhm.
his fatherhood taught you, and with your, because you said your son also acts as well
Mhm.
too. What is some of the best advice that you get him, that you've given your son, getting into the business on acting, and what else he needs to know?
As far as acting, I think the first the first part for us was, do you enjoy this or do you enjoy what the product can be? That was the first step. Is I think he saw me and he was when he was a baby, he would go auditions and meetings with me. So he was always exposed to the world. And then when we came out here, he started being a little bit more exposed to it when we moved to Los Angeles. And it was during the pandemic was when I think he started to see like me in the home tape and stuff a little bit more and like, oh, that's interesting. And it piqued his interest. And so I kind of wanted to know, do you like the idea of seeing yourself on the screen, or do you like the work that puts you on the screen? And so we just kind of messed around with him a little bit. He would read, scenes with me, and I saw him kind of that spark in him. And then I was very fortunate. My manager, she retired, but at the time she was like, "If you ever need anything," and I said, as a matter of fact, I think I want to see if he enjoys the process. So we started submitting for auditions, and it was during the tail end of the pandemic, so it was all tape stuff, which was very fortunate for me because I was able to kind of monitor his progress as he was doing these auditions and getting these Zoom meetings, and then I started to see that he really was enjoying it. And then this past year, I'm very fortunate. My kids are all very bright, and he's part of the gifted and talented program here in LAUSD. And so he was able to audition for the Performing Arts Conservatory. So this was his first year in the Performing Arts Conservatory. So it was his first time really taking classes full time, and he loves it. And for my advice, once that happened, once I saw and realized that you're an actor and you're in this, was to always trust your instincts. For one, you have to trust your instincts, and you have to know that if you lie to yourself in your performance, everybody gonna see it. You got to find the truth. Like in acting, I think that's that's our job is to find the truth. And if you can't find the truth, then everybody gonna see that you lying.
And the character has to be believable.
Well, that's
Like,
that's that's what I mean. Like you have to find that truth. You got to find that. You got to find that character. You got to meet the character, and you got to find. You got to y'all got to join. You got to figure out. You got to find the truth of that person. That person that was put on that paper. You got to find the truth of them, and you can't use like the ego or the id, or we like to think of it as a little I. Your little I will tell you something. Oh, I got this. I know who that person is, and you perform in it, and you giving a performance to that. And nobody wants to see performance. They want to see you in it. You know what I mean? Like when we see Denzel, when we watch, you turn on that screen, you see De Niro. When you turn on that screen, you see Taraji. When you turn on that screen, you see Jeffrey Wright. There ain't no forming. There's no there's no, you got to make sure that line between you and the character, you just gonna have to disappear for a while. And then you put it back once you're done. Say you telling this person's story, whether they real or they imagine, you telling their story. And so that's where it becomes beautiful with some of these stories, like Roger and a lot of these, like Moonlight, or even some of the like Chevalier, these historical Black stories that we don't know as much. Now we telling them because they haven't been told. So now we get to tell
And everybody's voice is included. Again, like I said, Black
them.
people were not a monolith. So
Mm-hmm.
actors, you guys showcase that there's a wide range of people within the Black collective. We're not all the same.
We're not.
Everybody has their own personality, different style, different, religious back, whatever it may be, whatever the case may be. Everybody is different in their own way. So now, fatherhood. What does
Mm-hmm.
fatherhood mean to you? Because I've
Well,
seen you with your kids and you light up. You're happy. They're happy. So what does being a dad mean to you?
everything. That's it's the most fulfilling fulfilling role I've ever played. Like that's the one I'll play that to my last day. That's the role you can stick me in. I mean, I don't. There's nothing more important in this world, on this planet, in my life, in my orbit than my kids. They, aside from what they mean to me, I'm very fortunate. My children are incredibly bright and they're great people, and to watch them become full-fledged human beings, like you can't. I mean, I can't. You can't put a price on that. It's beautiful. It pushes me. It makes me refuse to take for granted this opportunity that I have and the time that I've been able to cultivate in this business. So, the last 4 years have been very tough. I'm very fortunate to have beaten cancer and be on the other side. And I think without having my three kids and my wife in my corner and their love and their support, I wouldn't, I don't know how I would have done that. And it pushes me. It pushes me each week to become a better person and a better actor, and to define this legacy for all of us. Because it is the one business where I do get to, what I do is there. It ain't going nowhere. So I want to know that, my oldest is 10 years old right now. When he's 20, when he's when he has children when they're 20, and they say, "Oh, that's grandpa. He did this show." They can be like, "Wow, okay, all right." That's what I work for every day.
And it goes back to
Well,
what I
that
said,
I mean that
legacy,
yeah,
right?
and also I want them to know, and I try to make sure that my children know that I'm trying to contribute toward the moving forward of us as a people and us as a human race through my work and through my actions around everybody that I can come in contact with. And, and for them, respect everybody, respect those around you, and if it ain't hurting you, then what is the problem? You know what I mean? Like you got to you got to come to the world with open arms and be ready for whatever. I think as an actor, that's made really, it's ingrained in my brain, and I try to pass that on to them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we talk a lot about legacy. And you, I, Fashion Dolls, I did not tell him to say what he's saying in this interview because a lot of you think that, oh, she makes her. No, I don't. When my guests come on, and I say this all the time, when they come on, they are the pilots of that ship. They steer that ship. I'm in the passenger seat. But then when it's time for me to ask the questions, I go back to the pilot seat
Mhm.
where I'm supposed to be because I'm the host of the show. But my guests come on and tell their stories. And look at God, you're still here. You said battling with cancer
Mhm.
because I know people who know people, or someone in their family might have been through it too, or you might know some of the viewers, you might know someone, but you are still here. You are a living, walking testimony. So you keep doing what you're doing. And again, like I said with Nina Simone, she said it's the artist's job to tell the people's story.
Hmm.
So with you doing this, Christian, you are telling people's stories. With me hosting this platform, I am saying the things that people are afraid to say at home, and they just don't know how to say it. But I'm like, okay, I get what you want to say, I get what you're trying to say, and I'm going to say it for you. I'm going to say the part that you're afraid to say. If you know, sometimes you have to be the voice for the voiceless, and if I can do that, I don't mind at all. I don't mind at all. So
Keep
I
on talking.
want you
Keep on.
guys to
Let them
remember
know.
that.
Let them know.
Right? Absolutely. It's our jobs to encourage people also too, because we're living in uncertain times. Like we're living in dark. Lizzo, she said it. I love Lizzo. She said that we are living in unprecedented times. Anything can happen, and time is not promised to no one. Like we've
Hmm.
lost so many people from 2020 to 2021 to 2022 to 2023. I mean, we lost Shelley Duvall, who's an amazing actress. We lost so many this year in 2024. It's
Hmm.
like unbelievable. But this just goes to show you that time is not promised to no one. So
Absolutely.
our job as the artist is to leave our legacy and impact for the next generation and the next generation to come. Because with Stevie, I'm not going to be here forever. Well, I'm young and beautiful, so while I'm going to enjoy my youth and my beauty while I'm still here. I'm 30 years old, but listen, even with that, as I get older, I want the next girl that is coming along to host her talk show, and the next girl to come along that is hosting her talk show to follow right along in my footsteps. I've left my legacy. That's just like with Oprah or Ricky Lake or Tamron Hall or even Sherry Shepherd
I
or
mean, but it
Jennifer.
is it's so true. I I agree 100%. I when I was a kid, uh, my father was not around when I was a kid, so I would always I watched TV, and I don't even remember what it was I was watching, but I saw it was in the heat of the night, sitting for the game, and I
Mm-hmm.
remember I saw him, and I was like, I want to be that, and, and to be in a position to work in a business where some some boy could be seeing in his dark moment can think that's something I could do.
I can do that
You
too.
know,
Yeah.
it's all worth it. All of the work, all the no's, every project that you like, oh, I'm about to do this, and then some big star goes through, it's always worth it because it's just that one kid. If he can see 2 seconds of me work and be like, all right, I can do that. Because if not that, then what we doing? What we doing here? If we're not trying to inspire, then what we really doing?
Exactly. And again, time. Time is not promised to anybody. So if you have a passion, a goal, or a dream, go for it.
You do it.
And I know for me,
Do it. Just like
my
Nike
mom
said,
has
just do it.
instilled that to all of us. Right. And our parents, the best motivators come from our parents.
Hmm.
Our moms, our dads, they know us best. My
Hmm.
mom knows me best, and she knows that I'm very passionate about whatever it is that I do. So is my brother. My brother served in the military. So with all of that being said, each and every one of us have our collective personalities, but she taught us if you have a passion or a vision, you never give up on it. I've always wanted to do hair,
Hmm.
makeup, fashion, and host a talk show. I said, okay. And I had a, what was it? The Dark and Lovely box. You guys remember the Dark and Lovely
Hmm.
box? I said, I want to look like the girl on the box or a runway model, and I want to host a talk show. And I want to be the voice of those people out there. And I want to inspire young black women, young black and brown boys and girls to know that you can do this as well too. You work hard. You continue to go after your passions. And I tell people this all the time in the middle of, I've said it in almost every episode. I've done so many interviews, but I tell people this all the time. I tell them live life through fire, because
Hmm.
if you have a passion or a dream, you go after your heart's desires. Mine was to get
Hmm.
into the world of fashion and beauty and to host a platform. That was my vision and my dream. And I said, I'm going to continue to keep my legacy. I have a nephew now. I don't have any kids. I have a nephew. So with me having my nephew being 3 to 6 months, he's now already starting to grab things, Christian. So
Mm-hmm.
he hemmed me up a little bit when I picked him up. He grabbed my collar. He hemmed me
Yeah.
up.
Got
So
you.
he's
Got you. Got
already in
you.
a phase where he likes to grab things.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to leave my legacy along for my nephew, who is now already starting to walk, already eyes wide open. He looks just like my brother. I want to leave my legacy for him, and then when he grows up, his family, and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
So because time is not promised to anybody, and I tell people this all the time: give people their flowers while they are here right now, because just as
Mm-hmm.
sure as you've had that last phone call with that person, that could be your last phone call with that person.
Mm-hmm.
And I have talked to so many people. My friend K Tooks, who texted me yesterday. He always texted me before, so shout out to him. He texted me like, "Hey, how's everything going? We enjoyed the show we watching." He texted me right before I went on yesterday with Tika,
Mm.
and he was like, "How you doing, sis? How's everything when you're in?" And that's good. You need those type of people in your corner to reassure
Absolutely.
you that, hey, everything is
Absolutely.
okay. It's gonna be
Mm.
okay, especially mentally with this upcoming election and everything going on. He checked on me mentally because I said, brother, sometimes I feel the anxiety, I feel stressed, I feel angry,
Mm.
I feel all these different emotions. And he's like, breathe. It'll be
Yeah.
okay. You got this. You can do this. Because I've always been the one to be resilient and to keep going and just never give up. There have been plenty of times where I've wanted to give up. And my mom was just like, she always instilled us to put God first in everything that you do. Faith, whatever you
Mm.
believe in, she said, put God first in everything that you do. And every day I get up in the morning, I say a prayer and I do my morning devotions. And I always start off with affirmations. One
Mm.
of the affirmations that I start my day off with is, I am surrounded by love. And I am. We
Mm.
all are deeply, divinely surrounded by love. Even when you don't see it, sometimes I'm blind and I don't see it, but people will point it out and they're just like, girl, what are you talking about? People love you, they adore you.
Mm.
And my girlfriend Felicia, who just texted me a few minutes ago, so I'm calling them all out. She texted me a few minutes ago. She texts me every Friday. Hey sis, how you doing, girl? How's everybody on your end? And I'm like, we're good. I am doing amazing. I'm feeling great, and I do. And it's amazing to have people check in on you.
Mm-hmm.
We got to check in on each other because, like I said, time is unexpected and it is not promised to anybody. You could wake up and somebody could be gone tomorrow. Just like I said with
Absolutely.
Shelley Duvall, I was not expecting that was a big loss. She
Mm-hmm.
was a big actress and she's been
Absolutely.
in the game for a very long time. So when
Mm-hmm.
I seen that news on her and then Richard Simmons, I'm just like, my God, what is going
Mm.
on? We are
Mm.
losing too many of our icons. And
Absolutely.
today, one of my favorite singers of all time, this would have been her birthday, Whitney Houston. So it's
Mm.
just like time is not promised to
Mm-hmm.
nobody. We
Absolutely.
lost so many giants.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to take advantage while you have the chance to take advantage. You have to. You got to get it done while you still here to do it. And that's, that my brother cancer taught me that, and I'll never forget. There was this one kid I used to see, and he had cancer in his stomach and his lung. And he was very sick. And this kid would every day he would have a different joke for me. And we had our videos at the same time. And I'll never forget. And it was he still approached the day with the same, no matter the battle he was fighting. And so that stuff with me. And so that is something that I hold dear because I learned that at a time when I needed that push. And I passed it on to my kids is, you have to treat not I would never say treat each day like your last, but you got to know that nothing is this is not a written story. And you got to make sure that you put pages in each day. It's as simple as that. Like, you can't wait for the world to do something for you. You got to do it yourself. And you do it for you're doing it for everybody. Like the work you put in on you is carrying through your audience, for example. So that's what it's about. what I think that's our job as artists. It's the work we're doing is that we spreading to the audience, and I think that doesn't always have. I think as an artist was when I learned that it doesn't have to be in the form that you think it is. You know, you can't. Acting is one of the things. It's an odd way to practice. You know, when you're starting out, you think how do I practice, but you have to live your life in observance and be present, and then that starts to translate into your work, and then you start to realize like I'm practicing all the time in a certain way.
Yeah. And I want a lot of you guys, the viewers at home, to remember that it's never too late to go after your heart's desires, no matter what age. I've seen stories where it was this one man, and he was like in his what 80s. He said he wanted to go back to college. It's never too late to go back and follow your dreams.
Mm-mm,
Never too late. And you
never,
can never put an age on time or legacy. You can never do that. It's never too late to follow your dreams, and I tell people that all the time. Keep
absolutely,
going and follow your desires. That's what you
mm-hmm,
want to do.
100%.
So, all right, fashion dolls, we're gonna have some fun with Christian, and then we're gonna take some questions from the audience as well too. Before we wrap up, this is such a great conversation, and I hope you guys have all taken something away from today's conversation as well. So we're gonna do something called the Fab Five, and then we're gonna turn the tables. It's been a minute since we've turned the tables, and this is where my guests get to ask me their most deep, intimate, up close and personal questions, whatever they want to know about me, and it can be on fashion, life, living, whatever they want to know. They can ask me those questions in the Turn the Sable segment, as many as they want. But we're going to start off with the Fab Five. Now, you have to give me five fabulous things that you can't live without, Christian. What are your top Fab Five?
Fab Five. Okay. So number one, I have a Nike Air Max obsession. I have to wear Nike Air Max. So
You and my brother.
Ni-
You and my brother.
Nike Air Max. That's
He's a
number
kick
one.
fanatic too.
Hmm. That is number one. Uh, ooh, ooh, I like this. Five. Okay. Number two, I have to either see or if I'm ever like on location, I gotta figure out a way to FaceTime my kids before the end of the day. Like I have to have some kind of visual contact with them at some point. So that's two I can't do without. Three, I have I don't have it in here. I have a binder that I keep all my acting things in, whatever is important to me at the time as far as acting wise. Four is there is a list. My acting coach, we do a lot of breathing exercises. I keep this list of six powerful breathing exercises. And I would say, so the fifth thing is I have to do my breathing every day. I have a
Mm.
breathing regimen that, it's a mind, body, spirit connection. I do that. It's like 15, 20 minutes a day. So that's my five.
All right, that's the Fab Five fashion dolls,
See, I'm
and
bad with it because I'm always I get to answer that one like 10 things you bring with me, and other than my Air Max, I bring whatever I have. I'm an
I knew he was
adaptable creature.
gonna say the kicks because my brother's the same way. He is a sneaker fanatic. For me, I love jewelry. I love vintage
You gotta
jewelry, and I
have it.
love vintage decor. It is something about it. I love. My mom is the same way. I think she's rubbing off on me because she likes to
Okay.
decorate. She likes to put things in
Hmm.
order. So I like
Okay.
things that are vintage. I started collecting Barbies in 2023.
Mm,
And I
nice.
have a collection of Barbies. If you guys see when I post my outfit of the day, you see them on my dressing table where I have my fragrances and my jewelry and accessories. They're
Uh-huh.
right there, so it's important.
Nice.
All right, fashion dolls. My heart is beating fast for this next segment. I have no idea what Christian is going to ask me, so it is time to turn those tables. And this is where, for my new viewers, you get to know a little bit about Miss Stevie. So I'm going to pass it on down to Christian, and Christian is going to ask me some questions. I have no idea what he's going to ask, but I have no choice but to answer because I'm in the hot seat now. So
Oh,
take it away,
okay.
Christian.
Okay, so let's see. We talked about legacy.
Yeah.
What would your legacy be? What would the legacy you would like to leave?
I would say I want to be remembered for being vocal on social issues, not just for fashion, of course, but I want to be remembered for having a voice, for having an impact, for making an impact to make change, because it takes one voice that can change a whole nation. And for me, it
Hmm.
was Martin Luther King Jr. I think he said something to that extent. And I know that when I leave this time, when it's God's time to call me home or whatever, to come home, I want to be remembered for being a voice for the voiceless. I want to be
Hmm.
remembered for being a fierce, feisty, dangerous, revolutionary activist.
Wow, I
That's
like
what I
that.
want to be remembered for.
Okay.
I Because I am a little feisty, and I think I get that from my mom. My mom is a Libra, I'm a Scorpio.
Mm.
So I instantly inherit that from her, that going for whatever it is or speaking up for what's right when you see somebody being mistreated. So that's one thing I want to be remembered for, is speaking
Excellent.
up on social issues, the climate that we're in. Speaking up, making sure that everybody gets treated equally, or equality for
Mm.
all. That's something that I want to be remembered for.
Okay, that's good. All right. Uh, okay, let's see what else I got for you. That's it. That's my one, really. That's my one, because that to me is the biggest definition of somebody. If you could say what would you, after, if you wasn't here, how would you want it to be passed along? And that's
Right.
it right there. That's it. Yeah, I
Legacy.
mean that's like I pretty much everybody here that says all this knows my legacy will be leaving. So I love it. I love it. I got to run to a meeting, but this has been amazing.
Thank you so much.
Of
Before
course.
we let you go, any final words of encouragement? Thank you, Chef Ladybug.
No, no, just if you can see it, believe it. That's it.
Absolutely. And before we close out, Fashion Dolls, today's final thought comes from none other than the queen herself, Beyonce. Beyonce says
Nice.
this in one of her quotes. She says, if you don't take the time to think about and analyze your life, you will never realize all the dots that are all connected. And it is important that we take time, we self reflect, we stay in tune with ourselves, and it is important that we also take the time to give people their flowers. Like me and Christian just talked about legacy. That was the key thing in
Sure.
this interview. We talked about legacy and leaving a legacy and an impact. So remember that. Think about what you want your legacy to be, because again, time is uncertain to no one. We've lost so many people this year.
Yes.
And my heart goes to people who've lost loved ones, family members, and or sick, whatever, sending healing love their way. It's going to be a
Sure.
journey. It's going to be a fight. And our beautiful Madam Vice President, hopefully soon to be future president, said it best. It's going to be a fight for all of us.
Yeah,
But the
we gonna
fight
get there.
doesn't stop here. We
We gonna
got to
get
keep
there.
going, y'all.
We gonna get there
So,
for sure.
yeah. I love y'all, and I want you guys to have a safe and fabulous Friday. And joining me Monday, we have the beautiful Sophia Knowlton. She joins me for some girl
Nice.
talk, so make sure you guys
I might
tune in.
I
And
might have to
Christian,
join
where
that
can... Yes. They,
for sure.
well, surprisingly, well, yeah. Tune in.
Sure.
We have two girl talks this week. We have Sheila Crayola. She's going to be joining me because I know you guys are wondering the makeup, everything. She's going to be giving us some beauty tips. So make sure you guys tune in. And then we have Sophia Knowlton who will be joining me Monday. So we
Nice.
have two girl talks coming up. Yes. So I
Excellent.
can't wait.
Well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I had such a great time. And where can everyone follow you and check you out? It was such an honor interviewing you because I said
So
your resume is so extensive.
you can find me on Instagram at one Mr. Barber. Um, obviously my IMDb Christian Barber, but I mean I got some projects coming out. Can't really announce them yet, but definitely I'm looking forward to you watching me work.
I can't wait. And I look forward to chatting with you again. I had such a great time.
Most definitely, anytime.
All right, Fashion Dolls, ladies and gentlemen, Christian Barber, and I love y'all. Y'all be safe, and I will see y'all next week.
Been a
Take
pleasure.
care, everyone. You too.